Hello and welcome to Bible in a Year. This is the 9th of September. We're looking at the Old Testament part, and I'm Ali Martin. And today we're looking at Genesis chapters 19 and 20. And there's some really tough things in our passage today. But one thing that the tough passages allow us to do is to get something really foundational, just kind of firm and square in our heads. And that is this, that the Bible is not a book about good people. It is a book about our great God who is always good and who loves to love and work through people who are not good. And we really see examples of this in the passage today. So starting off in Sodom and Gomorrah, you've got these people that are just out of control in all sorts of ways, and they're banging down the door and they're saying, let's have sex with these angels that are in your house. They don't realise they're angels, I don't think. And then Lot says, actually don't do that. Why don't you take my daughters instead? And I remember when I first grappled with this, thinking that doesn't seem like very good behaviour, Lot, but you're part of God's story. And of course the answer is it wasn't good behaviour. Even though Lot was part of the story, what he was showing was not good choices. But he wasn't the only one in this story. So you've got later on his daughters who sleep with him when he's drunk, and then even later on you've got the deceitfulness and fear of Abraham, who said that Sarah was his wife, as a sort of self-protection insurance policy, really. And so even in this one reading today alone, you've got all these examples of people not making great decisions, to say the least. But again, this is not a story about good people. It's a story about a great God. And I think one of the clues is in the passage as well, when it talks about Lot's daughters who sleep with their dad, who become pregnant, and it tells us that one of them had a son who she named Moab, and from him was the race of the Moabites. Now, the Moabites were then later on despised by the Jews because they came from, this was their beginning, incest. And yet, as we go on in our Bibles, eventually we're going to hit the story of Ruth, who was a Moabite, and Ruth ends up being in the genealogy of Jesus. She is part of his inherited line. And what we see there is a brilliant message that God is good and he loves to use people who come from bad beginnings, who make unwise decisions, who mess up. He is bigger and above all of that. His love is bigger and above all of that. And maybe some of us need to hear that personally today. And maybe some of us need to just also understand that as a foundation for what we read. Because as we're going to read on in our Bibles, we're going to come across this again and again and again of people in God's story who make bad decisions, who act unwisely, and who sometimes act appallingly, and yet God is still a God of love, and God is always at work for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. So that's the message for today. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow. God bless.